Hey guys, how's it going? So, I just wanted to quickly make a video about my thoughts on the current ranking system of Brood War, because it's, in my opinion, like, really a mess. So, in my opinion, a ladder system that uses ladder points is never a bad thing. However, in a manual lobby system like what Brood War has, it's very abusable. You know, a system where people make the games and then people have to join them manually, as opposed to an automatic matchmaking system where you queue for a game and then the game creates a game for you, for those players. In my opinion, there's a much more accurate representation of skill if there's an automatic matchmaking system, or at least in the case of properly built one. The system itself sorts players rather than players needing to sort themselves out. And players sorting themselves out can lead to a couple of problems. But here's how the current system works, or how it's supposed to work. You have a rank, or you have a rank number. You make a game, usually with your rank, or the rank of the people you want to play with. And people join your game. Usually the person should be close to your skill level, because you should be putting a skill level in your match titles, in your lobby titles. And you play your game out, and the better player wins. And then the better player then gains ladder points and makes rank progression. The problem is this isn't how the rank system currently does not work at all. Here's an example of how the current rank system actually works, or at least what people are doing with it. You have a rank, you think you're worse than you are, or something like that, so you make games titled D or D-, 1v1 go-go. You get a D- player, and then you get more, you play more like a D or D+ player. You beat the guy, but you still gain rank. The D- player loses a ton of his rank. The D- player thinks that everybody's better than him, or that D+ player's a Smurf or something. And the D+ player just continues to prey on D- players, getting rank and slowly making their way up, getting to C-, and then C, and then C+, etc., etc., just by preying on D- players. Do you see how this is broken? Especially since there's no cost to make accounts, people can make brand new ones as much as they'd like. And on top of this, the game has a huge problem with Smurfs right now, and there's nothing that we can really do about it, except for those people who do the Smurfing. Those are the people who can really change it. A common problem that a lot of higher skill players on IC Cup run into is the fact that there are no players around A or B rank. So once you get up to that rank, it's really hard to distinguish what your rank actually is supposed to be, because there are so few players. And a lot of people who once they reach that point, they stop playing on that account, and I'll get to that later. Some people around A or B rank even boosted their rank by doing what I explained earlier in the second example that I gave. And then there are others who got there legitimately, but the player count towards the top slowly diminishes, so they slowly stop playing. As a result, these players make a new account to continue playing games, but with lower rank players, because that's where my account rank is, so therefore I should be playing with those people, right? That way I'm not like just a D player playing against C+, and they all think like, okay, this guy's a blatant Smurf, or like, yeah, I'm playing, like, I want to play with C+ players because I play closer to that rank, but oh yeah, people are just kicking me because I haven't played any games because I'm a D rank player, right? And there's just a bunch of Smurf and legitimate D and D- players mixed together, and there's virtually nobody sitting around B or A rank. So because people aren't finding people around that rank, they make Smurfs. They slowly rank up that Smurf back to that point, and then oh yeah, there's nobody up here. Let's Smurf again. And then the current ranking system is really just a giant mess, because you have a bunch of ranks mixed together. You have a bunch of A and B players mixed into D. And then those D players, they're nowhere at the top, but it's just like the lower ranks and mid ranks that are really mixed together. And all the A, B players, yeah, they do belong there, most of them, but they're not playing games together. No one's progressing past that point because there's no other players around that level. And so, because of this vicious cycle, where people Smurf, find there's no players, and then they Smurf again, find no players, Smurf again, find no players, it's discouraging to the D and D- players, because you have a brand new person, and because like I want to say that almost 60% of the current D, or D-, well no, D rank players or accounts are Smurfs. And obviously that might not be true, but that's genuinely what it feels like. You just have a bunch of... Say you have someone brand new to the game, and they start playing. They expect, yeah, I can just jump into a game and get people around my skill level, right? That's what should happen. But it's not what happens, and it's really fucking corrupt, because then those people get alienated thinking, okay, this game's a lot harder than I thought it was. People are so much better. Even the bottom rank is so much better than me. Like, then how do I push past this? How do I get better? How do I get good? And it's really hard for those newer players to improve, because they don't know necessarily what to look for. They don't know necessarily how to improve. That's partially what my tutorial series for. But at the same time, usually one of the best ways to learn is either by example or like by reviewing replays, and that's what everybody says. And it very much is true, realizing what your mistakes are. But at the same time, you should always want to be looking for what the person's doing right, what your opponent's doing right. And you can't necessarily tell what your opponent's doing right, because it's on such a like small scale. They are doing the small, like, those little things that push them farther ahead. And it's really hard to pick apart those players' games, because they're so much more advanced than you. They have so much higher tier gameplay, even if it's not significantly better, even if they're not pros. Even if they have just better mechanics than you, it's stuff that you can't necessarily notice 24/7, because you need to literally be looking all over the map all at once, like at every single instant. So brand new players don't know that, or don't realize that, or won't see it. So typically with a ranking system, the reason why you get placed with people around your rank is to, one, make sure if you belong in that rank, you stay there. If you're worse than that rank, then you'll get put below. Or if you're better, then you'll play with people who are better than you, and then you'll slowly make your way you'll slowly rank up. But if you're playing with people who aren't on your skill level, it becomes either a matter of you can't, like, they're just so much better than you that you're either focusing on, okay, this guy's fucking wrecking me, I can't beat him, rather than, okay, what can I do to beat him? What can I do for my current situation? How do I work around this disadvantage I'm given? In juxtaposition to that, you have playing against people who are closer to your skill level, whereas, you'll notice the little things, because hopefully, or ideally, it won't be all that different from you, from what you're doing. And it'll be much easier to notice, because rather than focusing on large scale 50 fucking things, maybe they're doing one thing better than you, or 2 or 3, rather than being able to realize, okay, everything he's doing is better than me, rather than, yeah, okay, I'm not making workers, and he's constantly making workers, so his economy's better than me. He knows he's taking expansions when I'm not pushing, or when I'm not being aggressive. He wasn't aggressive here, so maybe I should be expanding. That kind of stuff. This kind of, like, small things that you won't necessarily notice on a large scale with a D-rank player to an A player, whereas it's just so much more extreme. It's more than just that. There's all these intricacies about the guy's gameplay. And that's why typically playing against someone who's closer to your skill level is much better. It's much easier to improve that way, because rather than trying to improve everything all at once, you can work slowly, very slowly, working your way up. And in my opinion, it's much harder to do that with StarCraft comparatively than with any other game. It's so much easier to do with StarCraft because there's just, while there is so much stuff, there are those little things that you can do mechanically. And while in games like Counter-Strike, League of Legends, yeah, there is stuff that you can do mechanically different. It's just, for example, there's just so much variety in what you can do besides strategy. And while StarCraft isn't just strategy, there are the very basic mechanics, just like every other game. Whereas actually, yeah, I'm gonna just reject everything I just said. There are mechanics in all these games that you can improve. But the thing is, it's just if your mechanics typically are better, if you have those little advantages, or it's easier to notice what those small mechanical improvements you can make are, then it's much easier to do. And those are much more blatant, in my opinion, in these cases. With StarCraft, if someone's very much more mechanically better than you, yes, you'll see it, but at the same time, it's more than just one thing. There's so much multitasking that happens in StarCraft that it's hard to notice all these things all at once. And it really takes a long time to just pick apart everything that happens to be able to improve and to be able to really get the most out of a replay. But, yeah, it's just really discouraging to newer players. And something that we need to do is we need to stop it. If you're a Smurf, if you Smurf a lot in StarCraft, just please don't, because it hurts our community. If you know somebody who Smurfs, please tell them not to, because it very much hurts the community. I'd rather, personally, as somebody who's more towards the bottom, I'd rather have you... Okay, sorry. Looking at it from a higher perspective, rather, would you rather wait 5 minutes to get a game, or ruin the game for everybody else and possibly discouraging players from playing and reducing our player base? I'm sure that if you play StarCraft, you probably care about the community, because it's been a dying game for years, and while you might have some hatred towards Blizzard, that doesn't mean you hate the game. You can't just hate StarCraft, because I'm sure you love StarCraft, and that's why you've been playing this so long, and that's why you're so good. It's just so hurtful to the community. It hurts us all, and not just those players at the top, because then you have a lack of players coming in, and then, like, in my opinion, what's the point in playing anymore if there's nobody else playing in a multiplayer game like StarCraft? The campaign's great, but there's no point in playing online anymore. There's no point in playing on Icy Cup if there's no newer players, and then those older players slowly drop off because, like, there's nobody else playing. I know that reasons for why people stop playing games is because nobody else plays them. I know that for a fact. It's just really hurtful, and I don't get why people continue to Smurf, and why people haven't realized this, and why nobody's done anything about it yet. It's one of the reasons for why I'm avoiding having Smurfs in my tournament. There's no prize, so it's not like it hurts anybody if there's a Smurf. I mean, yeah, I guess it could kill the fun of people, but it won't do anything. But I try to avoid it anyways because I don't like the idea of Smurfing. I really don't. In games that are bigger, yeah, I can understand Smurfing. Like, it's a nice challenge or like something to do for the next couple of weeks or months. Like, yeah, all right, let me try to hit top rank again. Like, I think that's pretty okay in a game with a big community like League of Legends or StarCraft 2 back when it was still popular, etc., etc. Counter-Strike, even. But with StarCraft, there's such a dying community, and there's so few new players that there's just so many like top players mixed in with low players when they Smurf. So then it's just a giant sea of I can't tell who I should be playing. Also, with newer players, yeah, they could just avoid Smurfs. They could, obviously, yeah, you can check ranks in games. Some people that RC do try to get games with D and D- players for some reason. But I'd rather not spend 10 minutes in the channel, in the D- channel, or like D to C channel, looking for D- players, because sometimes they're AFK. Sometimes it takes for it probably takes longer for me to get a game as a D- player than it will take most other ranks, because it's really hard to find an actual other D- player that isn't your practice partner, or rather just looking around in the chat channel for a player that's on the same skill level. It's really hard to do that, and it's really time consuming as well. And this is something that's very unappealing to newer players, because a lot of players do come from other games like StarCraft 2 or Counter-Strike or League of Legends or etc., playing other games. And while that population isn't necessarily massive, it still exists. There's still people that do come from other games. And the automatic matchmaking system would very much help in StarCraft's case, and that's why I really appreciate what Shield Battery's doing. And that's why I really like what they're doing, because an automatic matchmaking system will modernize Brood War, but in the way that it should be, and not changing the game itself, but just helping helping the newer players. I don't think it'll ruin people having their social experiences with the game. You can still have a good time with some guy you just met in the lobby. It's not like, in my opinion, it's not going to be as drastic as people made LFG and stuff in World of Warcraft did. And in fact, that was community response, and it wasn't what actually killed the community. It was the community themselves that harmed it. And I guess a little bit of Blizzard not knowing how to properly punish the people for leaving. Whereas typically when you do a dungeon with a bunch of people, yeah, you're not going to want to let them down because you've been talking to them for a while. You traveled to the dungeon together. But with StarCraft, I mean, in my opinion, it's probably not all that different from joining a lobby than probably just sitting in matchmaking and waiting for the game to find you a game. It's not all that different. And then, if you want to talk in the lobby, go ahead. It's not, either way, it's barely any different in this case, in my opinion. So there's no harm in it. It's not going to kill the community. A lot of people think it will, but I don't think it will. It's something that's really important, in my opinion. Something to push Brood War even further. And to help newer players just come in and actually stay. But yeah, I think I went a little bit off on a tangent, a little too much, but whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my throat noises, and I hope some of you guys think about this and try to help me, and try to help the community, try to help everybody. And help me in what I'm doing in the sense of trying to improve this community, try to build it up. Even if I am a nobody, I'd still like to do something. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.